One wrong answer at customs can get you deported on the spot. Customs and immigration in July 2026 is not what it was 3 years ago. Stricter declaration rules, biometric checks, and updated entry requirements have made border crossings more complex than ever. Getting it wrong doesn't just mean a missed connection, it can mean detention, fines, or a permanent entry ban. Every question on this list is being asked at airports right now. Know the answers before you land. And stay until number one, because that question alone has ended trips before they even started. Number 13. What is the purpose of your visit? This sounds simple, but your exact wording can trigger a secondary inspection. This is the first question almost every traveler hears, and most people answer it without thinking. Holiday, tourism, visiting family. Those answers are fine, unless what you're actually doing doesn't match your visa category, your ticket history, or what's on your phone. Immigration officers in 2026 are cross-referencing your answer against digital entry data in real time. If you said tourism but entered on a business visa, that inconsistency gets flagged immediately. One-way ticket with no return date? Expect harder follow-up questions fast. But here's the twist. Saying too much is just as dangerous as saying too little. Keep your answer accurate, brief, and consistent with your documentation. I'm here for 2 weeks of tourism, return flight on the 15th, is a complete answer. Don't elaborate beyond what's asked. What most people don't realize is that officers in Canada, the UK, and Australia now access flagged traveler risk scores in real time. Frequent short-stay visits to the same country trigger deeper questioning automatically. Answer what was asked, nothing more. But number 12 sounds equally innocent, and it's where financially unprepared travelers get caught completely off guard. Number 12. How much money do you have access to during your stay? Officers can deny entry if your funds don't match your stated plans. This question isn't about judgment, it's about proof of sustainability. In July 2026, minimum financial thresholds have been revised upward in the UK, Canada, and Australia. The UK expects approximately £100 per day. Australia's informal benchmark sits around $1,000 per month. The US doesn't publish a fixed figure, but CBP officers absolutely assess financial credibility. And this is where it gets crazy. Access to money isn't just cash in your wallet. Officers want bank statements, credit card availability, or proof of prepaid accommodation. Vague answers like, "I'll use my card," raise immediate suspicion. Be specific. Know your numbers before you land. What most people don't realize is that prepaid travel packages work strongly in your favor. If your hotel, transport, and activities are already paid, your daily cost threshold drops considerably. Show that documentation proactively. But it doesn't end here. Question 11 involves something millions of travelers carry without declaring, and the consequences in 2026 are severe. Number 11, are you carrying more than $10,000 in cash or monetary instruments? Undeclared cash at the border is treated as potential money laundering, period. The $10,000 threshold is one of the most misunderstood rules in international travel. It covers far more than banknotes. Travelers' checks, money orders, prepaid cards loaded above that amount, and in some jurisdictions, accessible cryptocurrency wallets all qualify in 2026. This completely changes everything for business travelers or those relocating internationally. Declaring amounts over $10,000 is entirely legal. Not declaring them is a federal or criminal offense depending on your destination country. In the United States, failure to declare triggers immediate civil asset forfeiture, and recovering those funds is neither easy nor quick. In the UK and Australia, anti-money laundering legislation tightened significantly in 2024 and 2025 mirrors those consequences exactly. What most people don't realize is that the threshold applies per travel group, not per person. A family of 4 carrying $3,000 each, $12,000 total, must declare. The declaration form you completed on the plane is legally binding. But here's the twist. Customs currency detection technology in 2026 is more sophisticated than most travelers appreciate. Don't gamble with this. Declare it, explain it, move on. Coming up, a question about something you packed and probably completely forgot about. Number 10, do you have any food, plant, or animal products in your luggage? A forgotten snack in your bag can cost you a $1,300 fine in Australia. This question is treated as routine by most travelers, and that casual attitude is exactly what biosecurity officers rely on. In July 2026, agricultural enforcement at airports in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US has intensified sharply, driven by new disease containment protocols and updated international biosecurity agreements. Australia remains the world's strictest. Fines for undeclared food items start at 2,220 Australian dollars on the spot. No warnings, no second chances. In 2025, over 28,000 infringement notices were issued at Australian international airports alone. The culprits: snacks, dried fruit, nuts, items people packed without thinking twice. And this is where it gets crazy. It's not just food purchased abroad. Items packed at home that remain unconsumed on arrival must still be declared. Officers don't distinguish between bought there and brought from home. What most people don't realize is that declaring an item doesn't automatically mean confiscation. Commercially sealed, properly labeled products often clear inspection. The problem is always undeclared items. That's where fines and delays happen. Declare everything, always. But number 9 involves your digital life, and it's catching travelers completely off guard in 2026. Number 9, may we search your phone or electronic devices? In 2026, your phone at the border has fewer legal protections than your luggage. Border agents in the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK hold broad legal authority to search your electronic devices without a warrant, without probable cause, without explanation. In the US, the border search exception to the Fourth Amendment applies fully at ports of entry. CBP conducted over 47,000 device searches in fiscal year 2024, and that number keeps climbing. But here's the twist: you can legally decline a search in most jurisdictions. However, as a non-citizen, declining risks denied entry. As a citizen, it risks hours of delays and possible device confiscation for off-site examination. What most people don't realize is that it's not just messages and photos officers examine. Social media accounts, travel booking history, financial apps, and communication patterns are all assessed for consistency with your stated travel purpose in 2026. This completely changes everything about how you prepare before flying. Security professionals advise backing up devices, logging out of sensitive apps, and traveling with a clean device where border searches are likely. Coming up at number 8, a declaration question that first-time visitors almost always answer incorrectly. Number S8. Have you visited a farm or rural area in the last 30 days? This agricultural question is quietly one of the most consequential at any border. This sounds like a bureaucratic formality. It isn't. In July 2026, this question carries heightened urgency following new avian influenza containment protocols across North America and active foot and mouth disease alerts in parts of Southeast Asia and South America. If you've traveled through any affected region in the past 30 days, even in transit, officers need to know. And this is where it gets crazy. Farm or rural area is defined broadly. Visiting a national park, hiking through countryside, attending a rural wedding, or staying at an agritourism guest house can all qualify. Officers probe beyond the initial yes or no. What most people don't realize is that the shoes on your feet matter here. Walking through farmland or rural environments means those shoes may be swabbed for soil and organic matter on the spot, particularly entering Australia and New Zealand. Positive swabs trigger full agricultural luggage inspection. But here's the twist. Travelers who proactively disclose rural visits and have cleaned their footwear are treated very differently from those caught concealing it. Disclosure is always the right move. Up next, a question about your travel history that has become dramatically more complex in 2026. Number 7. Have you traveled to any of these countries in the past 5 years? Your passport stamp history can override everything else you've said, instantly. Countries on restricted or enhanced scrutiny lists are updated regularly. And in July 2026, those lists include nations under new sanctions, active conflict zones, and countries recently added to heightened surveillance frameworks by US, UK, Canadian, and Australian authorities. Travelers with stamps from Iran, North Korea, Cuba, and certain Russian regions face automatic secondary screening at US entry points under visa waiver program restrictions. This completely changes everything if you hold dual citizenship or have traveled on multiple passports. Immigration systems now cross-reference biometric data, fingerprints, facial geometry, iris scans against global travel databases. Your travel history follows you biometrically, not just documentarily. But here's the twist. Even transiting through a flagged country triggers enhanced screening. A layover at a restricted airport appearing in airline booking data is sufficient to generate a secondary inspection referral in the US and Australia. What most people don't realize is that the UK's electronic travel authorization, fully operational in 2026, screens third country travel history before you even board. You can be flagged before leaving your origin airport, and this is where it gets crazy. Travelers using second passports to obscure travel history are increasingly being identified through biometric matching. Know your travel history. Never attempt to conceal it. Coming up, a question about your accommodation that too many travelers answer dangerously vaguely. Number 6, where will you be staying during your visit? A hotel is not a sufficient answer. And officers know when you're being vague. This question exists for one reason: verifiability. Officers want a specific address, and in 2026 they can check it against hotel booking databases, short-term rental registrations, and national address verification systems in seconds. Staying with a friend requires their full name, address, and contact number. Booked an Airbnb requires the exact property address, not the neighborhood. Haven't confirmed yet is one of the fastest ways to trigger secondary inspection at any major international airport. And this is where it gets crazy. In the UK, all short-term rental properties must now be registered with local authorities under 2025 legislation. Officers verify Airbnb addresses against that registry instantly. Unregistered addresses generate serious follow-up questions about your actual intentions. What most people don't realize is that accommodation inconsistency ranks among the top 3 red flags officers use to identify visa overstay risks. If your stated address doesn't align with your financial profile, visa type, or stated purpose, extended questioning follows. But here's the twist. Travelers visiting multiple cities need addresses for every location. Moving around without specifics raises immediate flags. Have your accommodation details printed or screenshotted before you land. Number 5 involves something millions of travelers carry without understanding the legal risk waiting at the border. Number 5, do you have any medical conditions or are you carrying prescription medication? Carrying the wrong medication across the wrong border is a criminal offense in 2026. Most travelers treat this as a health formality. It isn't. In July 2026, this question carries real legal weight, particularly around controlled substances and the quantities permitted across international borders. The rules are not universal. Codeine, found in common over-the-counter pain relievers across the US, UK, and Australia, is a controlled substance in numerous countries. Several Gulf states and Southeast Asian nations updated their controlled substance lists in 2024 and 2025 to include medications commonly prescribed for ADHD, anxiety, and sleep disorders. Travelers carrying Adderall, Xanax, or Ambien into these destinations must verify current entry requirements before departure. But here's the twist. Carrying legal medication in quantities exceeding a 90-day supply can trigger customs seizure. Most countries set 30 days as the standard permitted quantity, with 90 days requiring advanced documentation and sometimes an official import permit. What most people don't realize is that customs officers can and do test medications. Unlabeled pills or pills in non-original containers are treated as unidentified controlled substances until proven otherwise. Carry original packaging. Carry a doctor's letter. Know the laws of every destination on Taka. Your itinerary. Number 4 involves a question about someone traveling beside you, and it catches family travelers constantly. Number 4, what is your relationship to the people traveling with you? Traveling with children who don't share your surname triggers immediate scrutiny. This question becomes significantly more complex when traveling with minors in non-traditional family structures or accompanying someone whose documentation doesn't match your stated relationship. Child trafficking prevention protocols at airports across the US, UK, Canada, and Australia have been substantially upgraded in 2026. Officers probe inconsistencies with precision. Traveling with a child carrying a different surname? Expect questions. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, or family friends traveling without both parents present need documentation. Most countries now recommend, and some require, a notarized consent letter from the absent parent when a minor travels with only one parent or a non-parent adult. But here's the twist. This catches divorced parents constantly. If you share custody and your ex-partner's surname differs from your child's, carry your custody agreement, birth certificate, and signed consent letter every single time you cross a border with that child. What most people don't realize is that these checks now happen at departure, not just arrival. Airlines at major international airports verify documentation for accompanied minors before passengers reach the gate. And this is where it gets crazy. Officers sometimes separate travel groups and ask identical questions independently to verify consistency. Inconsistent answers between companions are flagged immediately. Number 3 traps souvenir shoppers every single summer without fail. Number 3, did you purchase or acquire any goods abroad that you are bringing back? That designer bag you bought overseas could trigger a customs bill you never expected. Duty-free doesn't mean what most travelers think. Personal exemption limits haven't kept pace with inflation, meaning more travelers than ever are technically exceeding limits without knowing it. In the US, the returning resident exemption is $800. The UK allows £390. Canada offers 800 Canadian dollars after 48 hours abroad. Australia's limit is 900 Australian dollars per person. But here's the twist. The penalties for non-declaration are dramatically worse than simply paying the duty owed. Deliberate concealment risks goods seizure, fines up to 4 times the duty amount, and in serious cases, criminal prosecution for customs fraud. What most people don't realize is that gifts count toward your personal exemption. That luxury item for a family member is assessed at full retail value against your limit, same as something purchased for yourself. And this is where it gets crazy. Customs officers in 2026 use AI-assisted luggage scanning systems that flag luxury goods by shape, density, and packaging profile with remarkable accuracy. Hiding a watch in a sock is genuinely no longer a viable strategy. Declare accurately. Pay what's owed. Number 2 involves a question about your intentions that carries a legally critical right answer. And business travelers get it wrong more than anyone. Number 2, do you intend to work or seek employment during your stay? Answering this question wrong, even accidentally, can void your visa instantly. Working on a tourist visa is illegal in every major destination country. But work is defined more broadly than most travelers realize. Attending a business meeting? Generally permitted on a tourist visa. Signing a contract at that meeting? That may constitute work. Delivering a paid keynote? Almost certainly classified as compensated employment requiring a work visa. Filming content for a monetized social media channel? In 2026, that's being assessed as commercial activity in multiple countries. What most people don't realize is that social media posts are now used as evidence. If your Instagram or LinkedIn suggests business activity in a country while your entry documents say tourism, dedicated digital intelligence units within immigration departments are flagging that inconsistency. And this is where it gets crazy. In 2025, several high-profile content creators were denied re-entry to countries they'd visited multiple times after authorities identified commercial activity during previous tourism visits. The documentation trail exists. Officers find it. But here's the twist. Remote workers face a newly complex landscape. Many standard tourist visas explicitly prohibit remote work for a foreign employer while visiting. Several countries introduced digital nomad visas in 2024 and 2025 specifically because existing categories couldn't accommodate this. Verify your visa covers what you actually plan to do. Be precise, be truthful. Number one is the question that humiliates experienced travelers, business executives, and even immigration attorneys at border crossings worldwide. Number one, have you ever been refused entry, deported, or had a visa rejected by any country? Lying on this question doesn't just end your trip, it ends your travel life permanently. Every country on Earth asks some version of this question on arrival cards, visa applications, and electronic travel authorization systems. The answer must be truthful every single time, across every single application, consistently and completely. Here's where it goes catastrophically wrong. Travelers denied entry years ago genuinely believe it doesn't count, or that no one will find out. Both assumptions are dangerously wrong in 2026. The Five Eyes nations, the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, share immigration enforcement data in near real time. A denial in one country is visible to all four others almost immediately, biometrically linked to your face and fingerprints regardless of which passport you present. But here's the twist. Even a visa rejection from a country you never actually visited must be disclosed. Even being turned away at a land border crossing 20 years ago. Even an involuntary removal you didn't fully understand at the time. All of it. Always. What most people don't realize is that this question isn't designed to automatically bar you from entry. Many travelers with prior refusals successfully enter countries every day when they disclose accurately, explain the circumstances clearly, and present supporting documentation. It's the concealment that generates lifetime bans, not the original event itself. And this is where it gets crazy. Immigration systems in 2026 are cross-referencing biometric data globally at a scale that simply didn't exist 5 years ago. The assumption that past events are buried or forgotten is no longer valid. They are findable. They will be found. Tell the truth. Bring your documents. Never assume an officer won't find out. In July 2026, they will. Know these 13 questions, prepare your answers, and travel with confidence instead of anxiety. That's every customs question standing between you and your destination this July. If this video kept you out of trouble, hit subscribe. Expert Traveler breaks down the rules that keep you protected, prepared, and moving. Next video, 7 mistakes that get tourists flagged for secondary inspection before they even reach the desk. Watch that one before your next flight.